Hi, Algebra 1. Nice to have you back. It's Monday. So let's go over page 11 and 12. I'll go over each of the problems, make sure we feel comfortable with them. First one is 6x squared and then 4x squared. Okay, so we're going to multiply the bases. So the 6 times 4, that gives me 24. And then we're going to add the exponents on the x's. So that's x to the fourth because 2 plus 2 is 4. Problem number 2, we have 3x to the third y to the second times negative 6y to the fifth. We're going to go ahead and multiply 3 and negative 6. That negative 6 is not a negative exponent, it's just a negative number, so treat it like the same. We don't have any other x values, so x to the third just comes down. And then y to the second and y to the fifth is y to the seventh. Number 3, we have 5p to the third, negative m to the 8, p to the second. So 5 times that negative is going to give me a negative 5. There's no other m, so just write m to the 8th. And our p values, p to the third, p to the second, add those together, so you get p to the 5th. Number 4, you get 10g to the third, h to the 8th, v to the 6th, times 11g h to the 8th. Okay, so I'm going to go 11 times 10, that gives me 110. That's a g to the first, so g to the third and g to the first, add those together gives me g to the fourth. H to the 8th and h to the 8th is h to the 16th, and there's no other v's, so then v to the 6th comes down. There's our answer. Did you guys figure out my riddle? If so, let me know and we'll figure it out. Number 5, f to the n, or f to the ninth, h to the third times negative 5, f to the sixth times negative 3, h to the second. So 4 times negative 5, that gives me negative 20. Negative 20 times negative 3 is positive 60. Now I have my f's, so f to the ninth and to the sixth, add those together, so that gets me f to the 15th. Our h's multiply together, h to the third and h to the second is h to the fifth. Number 6, we have 3x to the 14 over y to, or times y to the 11th over 18x to the second. So let's go ahead and reduce. 3 goes into itself once, goes in there 6 times. So right now I have a 6 on bottom. Tug of war with the y's. Who wins, top or bottom? Yeah, the top does. Top wins by 12. And there's no y's, so y to the 11th just comes on top. Number 7, I get x squared y raised to the third. Okay, power to a power, make sure you bring this in. 3 times 2 is 6. There's a 1 right there, so 3 times 1 is 3. It's all done. Number 8, we have 2c to the third, parentheses, raised to the fourth. So that's going to give me 2 to the fourth, and that's going to give me c to the 12th. Now 2 to the fourth is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So let's do that. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So I get 16c to the 12th for my answer. Number 9, we do have a negative exponent, but let's take care of the outer exponent first. So let's multiply these together first. That's going to give me v to the negative 6. Because it's a negative exponent, that wants to move to the bottom. Remember, that's over 1, so we're going to just change it to that. And move down, it stays as a positive exponent when you move it down. Negative 10, or number 10, 3b to the negative 2 squared times a to the second, b to the fourth, raised to the third. Let's not worry about the negative exponent yet. Let's bring this in. That's 3 squared, which is 9, because 3 times 3 is 9. Multiply those, so I get b to the negative fourth. That might have to move down eventually, but let's not worry about it yet. That's a to the sixth, because 2 times 3 is 6. That is b to the 12th. Now we can add the exponents. There's no reason to get rid of it. So I have the 9 by itself. I have a to the 6th. If I add negative 4 and 12 together, I get positive 8. If you had moved it down and done a tug of war, it would have worked the same way, but it's your choice. Number 11, we have 3 over 8 raised to the second. So let's bring that here. So that's 3 squared and 8 squared. 3 squared is 9. 8 squared is 8 times 8, which is 64. That does not reduce. I mean, if it did reduce, we could reduce, but it won't. 9 and 64 don't have anything in common. This is 2p over 5 raised to the third. Let's bring this 3 in, so I get 2 to the third, and that's p to the third, and then that's 5 to the third. I think we can multiply these out. So 2 to the third is 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. And then I have p to the third on top. 5 to the third is 5 times 5 times 5. So 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 5 is 125. And being you get to use calculators, I think you could multiply those out. Okay, we're going to go to now page 12, the back side of that. Let's see how we do. Hope everyone's doing well. Number 13. So I get x to the fourth, y to the second, and the whole thing's raised to the fifth. So we're going to multiply power to power. That gives me x to the 20th, because 4 times 5 is 20. And that's going to give me y to the 10th, because 2 times 5 is 10. Number 14, I get x to the fourth over y to the second, raised to the negative 3. So let's multiply. That's going to give me x to the negative 12. Negative exponent. We'll take care of that later. And then 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. So what's going to happen is the x to the 12th moves down, and now it's a positive exponent. The y to the negative 6 moves up, and it's now a positive exponent when it moved up. Number 15, we get x to the negative 1, y to the 5th. Everything's raised to the third. We do have a negative exponent. Let's take care of it at the end. So that's negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. And then y to the 15th. Okay, so this wants to move down. The y to the 15th is fine. So on bottom, I'm going to get x to the third and y to the 15th. And the x to the third is now positive. But everything's gone from upstairs, so we want to put a 1 in there to be a placeholder. So don't forget to put the 1 up there. Number 16. I get 2xy to the 5th times 3xy to the 4th squared. Okay, so this 2 is going to be left alone for right now. Distribute this in. That becomes x to the 5th. Distribute it in here. It becomes y to the 5th. This becomes 3 squared, which we'll deal with in a minute. That becomes x squared. And then 2 times 4 is 8. All right, let's clean it up. So I have 2, and then this is going to be 3 times 3, which is 9, which is going to give me 18. I get x to the 5th and x to the 2nd, add those together, so that's x to the 7th. Y to the 5th and y to the 8th is going to give me y to the 13th. There's my answer. If you have any questions, individual questions about these, please ask me. Happy to help you. That's going to give me x to the 4th, y to the 5th, over x to the 7th, y to the negative 2, and then the whole thing's raised to the negative 3. So let's deal with this outside exponent. So that's going to give me negative 12, because 4 times negative 3 is negative 12, and then y to the negative 15. So some things are going to have to move, but we'll take care of those in a little bit. That's going to give me x to the negative 21, because negative 3 times 7. And that's going to give me y to the 6th. Okay, before we start canceling, let's move the negative exponents. This wants to move down. This wants to move down. This stays down. And this moves up. All right, so let's combine some like terms on here. Tug of war with the y or the x's. Who wins? The top does. By how many? Oh, well, 21 minus 12 is 9. This is on bottom, so I'm just going to combine those together, so I get y to the 21st. Watch yourself on those problems, okay? Number 18, we have x to the negative 2, y to the 3rd. Everything's raised to the 7th. And I get x to the 3rd, y to the 4th, to the negative 3. Let's multiply these. So that's on top is going to give me negative 2 times 7 is negative 14. And that's going to give me y to the 21st. And let's multiply here. That's going to give me x to the negative 9 and y to the negative 12th. So let's move the things. So x to the 14th wants to move downstairs. y to the 21st is going to stay up there. X to the negative 9 is going to move upstairs, and the sign changes. And y to the negative 12th moves upstairs, and the sign changes. Tug of war with the x's. Looks like the bottom's going to win by 5. Combine the y's together. There's no tug of war, so add those. So 21 and 12 is 33. Number 19, classic problem. You'll see this on a quiz, so make sure you keep an eye on this. Okay, there might be things that you might think cancel out, but this whole quantity is raised to the 0 power, so the answer is 1. So these are all symbols we've probably never seen before in math, but because it's raised to the 0, that's what takes place. My screen got goofed up for the very last problem, so we'll take care of that now. Give me a sec to get that loaded up. Did you figure out my problem with the trees? 10 trees. You do 5 rows. There's 4 trees in each row. How do you do it? Okay, number 20. We're going to get 8x squared y to the 3rd times 2x to the negative 10 y to the 11th. All right, so I'm going to have 8 times 2. That's going to give me 16. X to the 2nd and x to the negative 10. Add those together. So 2 minus 10 is going to give me x to the negative 8. Y to the 3rd and y to the 11th is y to the 14th. I don't know why this isn't working real well at Monday morning. All right, so this wants to move down, so I have 16 and y to the 14th on top over x to the 8. It moves down, and the sign stays the same. So if you have my question answered, awesome, let me know. But I'd also like you to take the rest of the period to work on page 13 and page 14, and I think we can do 1 through 30 all. Okay, it's nice seeing you all. I hope you had a nice weekend. Have a nice day.